Welcome to the first episode of the Libertarian Book Club Movie Edition. Today we're going to talk Star Wars. This is the first episode of the series we're doing. We're going to talk prequels with my friend Gold Guy. Gold Guy, how you doing?
Not bad. Pretty excited.
Yeah, me too. So let's talk about prequels. I feel like everything in the prequels could have been avoided if the Republic simply respected the rights of succession.
Oh yes. Let's see. Um, yeah, it's just it's three movies of tragedy, of not listening, not respecting other people's rights, and everyone just being an arsehole.
Pretty much, yeah.
In fact, I think the real tragedy is just that Palpatine didn't even create all of it. He just saw a really shitty situation and said, you know what, I can take advantage of this.
More or less, yeah. It's absolutely. I made this point on Twitter. The Every hero in this movie is just doing exactly as they're supposed to do according to Palpatine's plan. Everyone is so shitty, and everyone is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Whether it's like it, even with the invasion of Naboo, when he's just like, "My lord, is that legal?" Like any participant, when they want to do something, I'll make it legal. We
Mhm.
can't go to war in Libya. Don't worry. Obama's like, I'll make it legal. It's typical partisan bullshit of this, like, well, we want it done, so you do it, and we'll backtrack from there. Like, uh,
Okay, mistakes were made, but now we're going to commit in rhetoric to making things better. You can trust us again. And please remember to vote and donate.
what was it? Obi-Wan Kenobi said, Attack of the Clones. Partisans care more about who's backing their campaign or something. Like he was very cynical of partisans, and it was kind of based. Like he had some solid lines on politics.
Obi-Wan was, I think he was halfway there because he was very cynical, correctly, about
Mm.
politics, but incredibly idealistic about the Jedi Code and the Jedi Council, which
Yeah,
just ended up being another political pawn.
yeah,
Again, doing exactly what Palpatine wants them to do.
and
All he does, all he does
no,
is count on them to be themselves.
and the Jedi, it's like when they figure out the fact that they can't use the Force to sense the future as well in Attack of the Clones, and they're like, "Should we tell people about this?" No, no, we're good. We're good at
Yeah.
this. Keep it secret. We know we're Jedi. We're wise. We know what we're doing. It's like anyone who claims wisdom is an idiot. And no one's if you claim you're wise, you're not wise. It's that simple.
Mm.
And the Jedi's failure, it's like Count Dooku and Anakin, Darth Vader. Both these people were recruited out of the Jedi Order. You think that'd be an indicator, hey, maybe we need to get our curriculum in order so we not have people turn to the dark side so easily. It
Yeah, it's the perfect example of the Jedi just beat down Anakin, ignore him, distrust him, and manipulate him to the point that he is just rife for radicalization into essentially just another form of space fascism.
pretty much. Honestly, the Emperor's conversion to him. If Mace Windu actually tried to take him alive, like Anakin even said, take him alive, I need him. If he didn't
Yeah,
try to kill him, because he's too dangerous to keep alive, which is the same thing Palpatine told Anakin about Count Dooku in the beginning of the film,
yeah.
it's all would have been avoided. If Mace Windu just paused and listened, like, huh, what should I do? But again, if he kills a political leader, how's it going to go over the Senate? Not well. But he didn't even think it true because he's an idiot.
I think he did think it through. He just came to the wrong conclusion.
Even
Oh
worse.
no. Oh no, this guy is a Sith Lord who is manipulated his way into dominating the Republic. We should stage a coup. Let's save democracy by fucking starting a dictatorship to save them
Yes.
from a dictatorship.
So stupid. Um, what was it? Anakin's whole like if I was in charge of Star Wars, one thing I would have changed is I would have had Palpatine bring up the fact that hey, there's still slavery because the Jedi are actually going to fix it. I mean it's a big point. Like slavery still exists in Star Wars.
Yeah.
They didn't mean like it's. I love how it's casually brought up too. It's like oh yeah, slaves still exist. In one movie they bring it up and then they barely mention it again, and it's like this is an issue. No one seems to care. They have success over trade routes, but they still have slavery. This is a weird focus of the Republic, the not chaos. And
And so that brings me to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon seems remarkably cool with the fact that he is bartering with someone to free a fucking slave.
and he's already cheating too. Like he's already using the Force to rig the dice so he gets Anakin. And it's like, I'm sorry, at this point, just use the Force to take her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm sorry, if it's a crime for a Jedi to free a slave, then it's more problems to Jedi Order than there should be.
Yeah.
It's so. And the fact that they never went back, to try to get the mom. You know, they can go back and get extra money. And then, nope, just leave it be. Season slavery now. That's how it works out on Tatooine. What the fuck?
Yeah. I think there's actually reminds me of one of my biggest points about the Jedi and Anakin. Because going through my fucking notes here. The Jedi and especially Yoda, they teach Anakin that attachments are necessarily a problem, that they will prevent him from doing his duty. And Anakin listens to that with his mother, and he delays going to go to her for as long as possible, and she dies because of it. And this, in the end, is ultimately what leads him to try to do whatever he can to ensure that Padme does not meet the same fate and actually take the initiative. And it is the Jedi's failure to help him with any of this that leads him to going fucking full pumped up kicks on the younglings.
I can't remember who it was. I want to say this, I can't. What's the guy? Remember his name? There's this guy who wrote a book about Star Wars and political philosophy. If I forget your name, dude, I'm sorry, but I'll definitely throw your book in the description because it was really good. He said that if Anakin was like people complain about the prequels, say, "Oh, Anakin is a dumb, whiny brat." It's like he had to be. If he was smart, witty, and philosophically sound, he wouldn't have been converted so easily. And that shows the failure of the Jedi Templars quickly in teaching skills. That they take this most powerful dude who ever lived, probably, and he's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's like this all could have been avoided if you once, and this is why I think the only good thing I found in the sequel trilogy was Luke Skywalker's line: "The Jedi Order needed to end because of the humorous." Yeah. He's fucking right. He's dead on. The Jedi Order needed to end. Maybe Plo Koon could have lived because he was cool, but everyone else is just you're done. You're done. It's over. Plo Koon and Kit Fisto might be the only two good Jedi's.
Plo Koon was always my favorite when I was a kid because he had a cool mask.
Yeah. When I played the Star Wars RPG, like a tabletop one, I always played a Plo Koon type character.
I did the same thing with Jedi Academy.
Nice. Oh, I see those pop up on my Steam sale. I'm on Steam one time. I'm like, I should probably get into this. This looks fun. I need to finish playing Fallen Order before I start anything new. So
I'm thinking of getting back into gaming, but it's been years. Sorry, go on.
No, it's gaming. There's so many games out there now that you like. This looks fun, and then it's like, oh, it's 80 hours. I can't even commit to a 2-hour long movie, let alone an 80-hour game. But anyway, I was talking in the Star Wars series. It's again the hubris. Some Jedi goes off to reservations and makes a clone army, and it's never investigated until the Clone Wars investigates for like 4 episodes. The clone who figures out all gets killed by other clones, and they still leave it be. Like it's so like, well, we can handle it. Like they're in where it's like, no matter what comes up, they believe they can handle it.
Yeah,
it's like actually, how arrogant.
I think the greatest example of this is Attack of the Clones. Hold on a minute. Someone, apparently a dead Jedi, ordered a massive clone army to be constructed, and also apparently the payment for all this has been done and set up. They're the greatest killing machines created to date, probably. And very conveniently, we found out about them right when we need them. Let's just use them, I guess.
Yeah. And keep it secret. And keep secret the whole like plot behind it all.
Yes, we planned this all along because we are the big brain Chad Jedi.
We have to maintain a semblance of order and power for our people to respect us. And you see in the Clone Wars TV show, no one really respects them anymore. They've turned from keepers of the peace to soldiers, like Mace Windu said Attack of the Clones, or keepers of the peace, not soldiers. I'm sorry, by the end of the Clone Wars, you're wearing clone armor over your
Yeah.
Jedi uniform. So I kind of shows you the evolution of how they went from peacekeepers to full on General Kenobi, General Windu. They took military
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah, Windu says we're keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Goes on to be a soldier. The
Mhm.
hypocrisy is fucking incredible.
What's
And
that mean? It's like they're Attack of the Clones, and the clones one that makes Windu, and they're like, "So we're random clones from some random conspiracy theory you completely ignoring. What do we have to do? Cool, blow that shit up." And it's just immediately it ignores all the red flags. It goes, "Wait a minute, you mean these people are engineered to never disobey orders? That can't be used against us when they actually work for the Senate and not us." Like,
yeah, that's not going to be a problem at all.
like the fact that never
Cool.
waste the fact that they literally want drones to follow orders no matter what. That's a red flag. Like you said, what
Yeah,
drones? Unless you're an evil person.
it's like imagine if Biden bought a bunch of killer drones from China to use them to use them in the Middle East, for example. That's not going to bite us in the ass at all.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but it's,
I
it's
mean,
so
Yoda is the one who pisses me off most. Yoda is completely fine with this.
yeah. That's just that's why I think the Sith have a point. I mean, I read Star Wars or watch Star Wars. I always seem to place the Sith in like an Ayn Rand camp, you know.
Oh, actually, I do have a whole point about this.
Oh, please go ahead.
Uh, the Jedi versus the Sith. See, I actually sympathize with the Sith more than the Jedi. There's obviously the little problem of murder and domination and empire building, but they feed off of their passion. They do have a good measure of egoism, of Randian style egoism, but that's unfortunately corrupted by their nihilism and egotism.
Mhm.
They believe I'm powerful, I should use this power to my benefit. Good, and I'll enslave the entire galaxy. Hold on now, dial it back a bit.
Bring down. It's I really think like if I had to choose between an arrogant guy who thinks he's doing good, but like what was it? C.S. Lewis quote: "A tyranny for your own benefit is worse than the tyranny of your." I
think
I can't remember the exact
like,
quote, but
yeah,
the idea that you rather have a guy who
tyranny of
hates you.
someone who thinks that they're doing it for your good is worse
Yeah.
than that of a robber baron.
Yes, that's what Jedi insists. The Sith know
Yeah.
they're doing bad. They're like might makes right. I can own whatever I want because I can take it. I'd rather have that because I can at least satiate his greed every once in a while, unless you're nihilist and just eating planets. But the Jedi, the idea they were in charge is even scarier because I was people who like I am above it all, like the people who deny attachments and act like they're above everything. They're very emotionally fragile. You
Yeah,
know,
and right, they preach, being controlling their emotions, being kind of zen all the time, but they don't do that.
yeah,
Especially Windu, especially, I think he has a very fragile ego.
mm-hmm.
Anytime Anakin stands up for himself, Windu goes into defense mode.
Yeah, it's really we watching them after like going into like anarchist, political, winning way and kind of thing, and watching it. There's a lot there where it's like there's a lot more than just space fantasy. People who write off Star Wars are idiots. There's a lot
Yeah.
here. I'm
Uh,
actually, I'm actually
yeah.
talking to the Clean Libertarian later today about the EU books and the Star Wars Jedi versus Sith kind of conversation. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
That'll be interesting to watch, actually.
okay, I'm the guest coming on for this podcast. I got Scott Holton coming on to talk about the prequels. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I do not actually know who that is.
You know who Scott Holton is? Oh, he's head of the anti-war radio. He's the head of Libertarian Institute. Really good guy. This very he is the anti-war person, I think. just incredible.
Yeah,
So
sorry,
Star
there's a
Wars.
lot of people
Yeah,
I
there's a
don't
lot.
know in the
It's all
liberty
good.
movement.
It's all good.
Uh,
I'm looking over my notes as well for this episode.
I originally thought I was just going to wing this like I do with everything, but then I just started writing and didn't stop.
I feel you. I feel you. It's every 5 minutes. I felt like I had something to talk about.
Mhm.
I want to point this like they really do have a lot of faith in democracy. They have a lot of
Yeah,
faith in democracy. It's really like as a kid, you never noticed it. You know how like well, just
yeah.
democracy must be the greatest thing ever. So no wonder they all love it so much. But
Mhm.
democracy directly led to imperialism. Like I don't think you can escape. Democracy always leads to empires. I don't see any other ways. You weaponize the people. You what was it Han Solo and Harper Crow about kings versus political leaders? King might be born a bad guy, but in politics, everyone is bad.
Yeah, that's actually Hopper makes pretty good points about that democracy versus monarchy, for
Yeah,
example.
I'm reading Democracy to God the Fair now. It's incredible. Like he makes some points. So I'm just like, yeah, I'd rather have a king than a president. I think he's right.
Yeah, actually, I bought The God That Failed a while ago and read like the first page and been meaning to get further into it, but
It's good. It's good. I will say the time preference stuff. I'm going to school to be an economist, and so I'm trying to read a lot more economic works.
hmm,
I feel like I should read Human Action before I read Democracy to God the Fair. But
hmm,
excuse me. Anyway, um, but yeah, it's like even when they have Queen Amidala, she's a queen, but she's still elected. Like she's an elected
yeah,
queen. And so it's like, why even
that's
in
worse.
it's even yeah, it's like what is this? This doesn't make any sense. Um
It, the actually the whole dynamic between democracy and monarchy throughout all three prequels, it's constantly relevant. And we start with, for example, Naboo, which is an elective monarchy, which is the worst of both worlds. They're electing a dictator. That's a problem.
yeah.
So not only can they get one person ruling the planet who is evil, worse, they need to appeal to the worst sentiments in people to get them to vote for them
Mm-hmm.
for 2 terms.
What was
So
it? And even they say when Attack of the Clones, like Padme was part of like some young elected official like school thing. So it's like they don't expand upon it, but it looks like they have a school where they literally train elected officials. So it's like it's very much like Players Republic, they are training people for this leadership roles, and it's like you're lucky this turned out okay. Like
yeah.
you're lucky you're getting people like Padme and not like Count Dooku on office or something.
Oh
Like
boy.
I know Count Dooku is right. I think Count Dooku every time I read him about the Jedi, he's right. When I hear him talk about succession and the succession, he's right. Like, and he's more often than not, Count Dooku was. I think he was a political idealist who had a lot of good ideas, and like Anakin, he got hijacked by a stronger
Yeah.
authority figure. You know,
Yeah, I think actually Dooku. I think Dooku could have been a good dude. He probably was initially,
mm-hmm.
but Palpatine just took advantage of that with the situation that he himself engineered.
Yeah.
Uh, what was I saying? And Dooku takes an interesting ideological role in Attack of the Clones, not just as a military leader, but as the political organizer of
Mm-hmm.
the secessionist movement, which is, on the face of it, the secession, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, um, they have a legitimate claim. They want to leave the Republic. But then Palpatine, who himself actually secretly fomented the secessionist movement, is
Mm-hmm.
also stirring up basically nationalism and unionism in the Republic
Mm-hmm.
to push them towards making a grand army of the Republic.
I'm still gonna say it.
And
Palpatine, Boaz Evils, still a better leader than Lincoln. Still better than Lincoln. I mean, Palpatine had his problems, but Lincoln had preachers arrested for not saying prayer in his name. So it's like that's both pretty bad, but Palpatine has a cool red lightsaber. Lincoln maybe killed a vampire. You know, like maybe. So it's like what's the saving grace here? Clearly Palpatine.
Yeah. Plus, the autistic screeching meme will live on forever.
Oh, he has so many
Oh
like
god,
the memes of him like do it. Just love it.
the Senate Palpatine.
Oh,
Uh, what was I saying?
I think it was Bob Murphy. He was like, someone was like, who's the bad guys in Star Wars? He goes, well, it's not Palpatine because he is the Senate. You know, that's one reason to support him. He is the Senate. He
Hmm.
started defending it like,
Actually, there's quite a few deleted scenes in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith,
mm,
which I think were actually critical to the political side of the story. But unfortunately, they ended up being cut because the primary cinema audience of Star Wars is, oh, young boys who want to see a lot
mm,
of lightsaber fights.
yeah.
So unfortunately, a lot of that was lost in the final product because they specifically mention many times in the deleted scenes in Revenge of the Sith how Palpatine has been incrementally amending the Republic's constitution
Mm,
to stay in office, to solidify his own power. And he goes from from saying I reluctantly accept these powers, etc., to bring a
mm,
swift end to the situation,
mhm,
to essentially very slowly gaslighting people into accepting dictatorship as a
mm,
consequence of democracy, to
mhm,
protect it much like Caesar did actually in the last days of the Roman Republic.
mm.
The Republic.
Yeah.
Uh, except he's too much of a Chad to end up getting stabbed by a bunch of old senators.
He
Um,
took on four Jedi. Like it was nothing. Yeah, like
yeah,
quite sadly.
that's actually an interesting one, especially because I fully believe that Palpatine could have entirely avoided that.
Mm,
He did not need to fight them; he just wanted to,
yeah.
because he'd been manipulating and scheming behind the scenes for so long. He just wanted to cut loose and murder some bitches.
Mm-hmm. And he did. That's a good fight scene. That's
Uh,
episode 3. I love that one, man. Episode 3, it's a solid Star Wars film. Like it's up there with episode 5, 6, Rogue One. You know, it's up there, top tier.
I wouldn't say quite top tier, but it's
Mm.
it's definitely the best prequels
That is,
because
yeah.
my enjoyment of the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones is slightly hampered by the fucking awful dialogue, the overdone effects,
Yeah.
and the
Uh,
writing.
I was watching it. And I'm just like, this is for the podcast. This is for the podcast. I have to get through this. But it makes it worse. You know, like, for all the problems of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, we got the Clone Wars TV show in episode 3. I think that's a fair trade. You know, so for so, too bad, too good. I'll take it because those two Clone Wars ones and Revenge of the Sith, just phenomenal movies. How would you
Mm.
rank the Star Wars films? Any idea where you rank them up at? Or
Um, see, I'm probably gonna have to lock my doors and my windows and prepare for a doxing campaign because my favorite is actually The Last Jedi.
oh, I'm this interview's over. I'm out. This has been a great podcast, everyone. Everyone have a good day. I gotta go. Really, Last Jedi?
I just love how it subverted expectations so much. It turned everything on its head. Like there were so many red herrings that seemed like classic Star Wars story, like the Master Code Breaker, their whole original plan, and then no, fuck you, that's out the window because you assholes parked illegally, and now you got tasered.
Maybe it's. I mean, I saw it once in theaters, and I was like, I'm done. But I'm gonna rewatch it for the podcast this week, and so maybe I'll come to a different conclusion about it. Cause it's the only Star Wars film I saw once,
Hmm.
so maybe I'll come to the conclusion. But I remember when I first saw it, I was just like, it made me hate Ray. You know, like
It's hard to like Ray.
it's really hard. And it's gonna be easy. It's Daisy Ridley. She's fantastic.
Yeah,
Like, oh, and we're getting off track. We'll go into the next movie.
yeah,
Gotta stick to the
yeah.
prequels.
Though I will add that the Rise of Skywalker is just fucking shit tier. Rise of Skywalker needs to be forgotten,
I,
struck
I
from the canon. No.
I actually like that one more than I like the other
God
two.
damn it.
Fuck. I thought had more redeeming qualities, I think, than episode 7 did.
It ruined everything. I think even for people, because episode 7 actually tried to do something different. We're starting to talk about the sequels now. It tried to do something different, and then the Rise of Skywalker was just a massive cope for that, and reversing it.
I will say I actually agree with you on that point. I think if the sequels had one consistent director and not this back and forth nonsense. When they hired 3 guys, they fired a third, brought in the able to fix it. He had to come in like, well, I set up a story, this guy shit on it, and now I have to try to instead of amending it to be where he is, I got to shit on his story now. It's just like this is not the I said it should have been 2-parter. It should have been episode like all of the series, episode 8, part 1, part 2. Episode 9, part 1, part 2. You know, like Harry Potter did. Wrap it up as a 2-parter. Because there's a lot you gotta do. And you gotta like either fix or continue where episode 8 left off. And they tried to do both. And it was just like, no, like this is an incoherent trilogy. You could watch them as individual films, but you watch them as a trilogy, it's shit here. It's just garbage. You get like maybe 5 good scenes, and it's just like, and what sucks so much about it is you watch it, you're like, that could be good, and then it's disappointed again. It's just, Kathleen Kennedy sucks.
Right. No, I'm going to desperately try to link this back to the prequels to get back on track.
Yeah,
because I think my single favorite part of The Last Jedi was right at the end when they send out a distress signal as far as they can, and nobody comes. Because they're not trying to make this the usual Disney everything ends well, hopeful narrative, which they ruin in The Rise of Skywalker, which then brings back to the tragedy of the prequels, because the prequels stand aside from the other Star Wars films because we know it's going to end badly. We know it's going to be tragic. We just don't know exactly how. And unfortunately, it's not a big blowout war between Jedi and Sith, with clearly defined good and evil that brings down the Republic. Not that the Republic was any fucking good, but anyway, that murders trillions of innocents. No, it's politics. It's a little tantrum between people who disagree, which then evolves into a massive proxy war.
Yeah.
And Palpatine's just fucking sitting back in his weird looking chair laughing his ass off.
Yeah, it's. And you think about how many clones, how many people, how many like Clone Wars does a great job showing how terrible these wars are. I mean, this Galactic Civil War led way. The Galactic Civil War led way to an empire, an evil emperor, more slavery, totalitarian regimes, and then a really violent rebellion full of criminals.
Yeah.
This all could have been avoided if they simply respected the right to succession. That's it.
Yeah.
We've got to say, hey, you know what? We weren't good enough to keep you in the Union. We'll try to get you back in a few hundred years. You go do your thing, we'll do our thing. But nope, we gotta have the mystical union. Otherwise, we're gonna have it's gonna be bad again because trade routes and trade deals. It's so typical partisan bullshit. It's ridiculous. It's you're yelling at Fox News because it's the same thing. That's one of the ways George Lucas was fantastic. If you get what politics is, this will make you scream at the wall, because I think he gets it. I think Lucas actually is really smart, and I think he gets politics. And I think if he was given more of a control over his own projects, he'd have more. This would be a very anti-political, not anti either side, it's anti-politics and Zenwa story.
Yeah. Well, he would half as good at dialogue.
He needs someone good with him. He needs someone to help him write those scripts, because I swear, there's so much in the prequels that if they were to remake Star Wars, the prequels would be better than everything else if they were done correctly. Like, I really think that. I think there's enough in the prequels that are set up that if they really nailed everything they tried to do with the prequels, they top all of the Star Wars films. they don't nail it, and so it's just really terrible sometimes.
Yeah, it's just tragic when something it's could we were on the edge of greatness. We were this close,
I
and
can't remember who
then it just turns into that.
I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, Dave Filoni is going to get all the money, and we make episodes 1 in between episode 1 and 2, and episode 2 all like the Clone Wars, 5 seasons each. Give me this 15 seasons of the Clone Wars continued from prequels to just remake the prequels and the Clone Wars. Animation, the voice actors, bring them all back, and I watch that. I think everyone would watch that. Like this prequels do really do so. The problem with movies is you can't squeeze in all the little details to make it fantastic. That's why TV shows are winning. That's why TV shows are the future. Or 3 hour long movies. You gotta do one of those now. Or like Marvel movies. Or like Marvel films, just make it a giant series and say, well, you get to see last week's episode. You gotta keep going. It's
sorry, I just pictured Anakin saying to Windu, I think Jar Jar Binks is the Sith Lord.
I think Mace Windu probably just leave. He'd be like, I'm done. This is it. I'm leaving. If I didn't see this, I don't know. If he had any humility, he'd probably leave. But given how arrogant he is, he'd probably just be like, "Well, I suspected as much." Windu.
Oh, right. Just remembered one of my what was supposed to be a big starting point, because I was intending to go in chronological order.
Oh,
but then it just got messy.
It got messy.
Yeah, but it always does with Star Wars.
Yeah, you talk one issue, you're like, well, that plays in this Mandalorian episode because like a bunch of nerds, you can spot all the connections.
But going back to the beginning of all the turmoil, which didn't even technically need Palpatine to start the ball rolling, he just took advantage of the situation, is the intricate politics, the absolute mess that the Senate is. So Gunray and the Trade Federation claim that their blockade of Naboo is legal, and for all we know, they're right. How is that legal? They are blocking all trade in and out of Naboo. They are starving the populace because they don't like what's being done with the trade routes.
Yeah,
that is, and the Trade Federation has representation on the Senate. That's a problem.
Yeah, that really is big of what I mean. I think if Walmart definitely has control of everything, but if Walmart straight up had like a representative in all Congress meetings and was just like, oh, well, the Walmart representative will pull off funding from this. That's what it's like. And if people think like this is a white pill saying on politics. If you are saw any connection to real world politics, and a guy's like, oh my lord, is this legal? I'll make it legal. If that's even a mechanism for you to make some evil shit like a blockade on a poor population legal, and then no one bats an eye, these people have no morality. They have no moral system. They have legality. That's all they have. It's just like, actually, what is wrong with you?
What they were talking about making legal was the ground invasion of Naboo. The blockade was already good.
You're right. It's even worse. That's even fucking worse. Oh god.
It's like the East India Company. Jesus.
It's so terrible. And you wonder why people succeed. And you wonder why people like Naboo aren't succeeding. It's like, we clearly don't get any help. Like it's why like in the Clone Wars, you see Mandalore. Its own thing, advocating for peace. It's the fact that the blockade. You're right that the blockade is already legal. How does that make any sense?
And the Jedi respond to the peacekeepers of the Republic respond to this by sending a delegation to negotiate with the Trade Federation over their blockade of the fucking planet. It's like on behalf of the Senate. The Jedi are just as political as everyone else. They just don't admit it.
This is Yeah, the fact that the Jedi are sent as negotiators for the Senate, and then they act like they're keepers of the peace and they're not really playing politics. It's like, I'm sorry, you don't put up your big council inside the same planetary sphere as the political organization. But we're not playing politics. It's like, I'm sorry, no, that doesn't work. I don't buy it. You know,
Yeah, and
what about a great example of the arrogance of the Jedi is an Attack of the Clones, where Kenobi's trying to find the Camino system.
yeah, if
Not like
it's not in our archives, it doesn't exist.
it's like what? That's your
Seriously?
standard. That's your epistemology, or it's not in the archives. Doesn't need to happen. It's just like this is the hubris of the Jedi is insanely. It's off the charts. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yoda is the only one who actually thinks that maybe someone deleted it,
And some
and
kid,
then doesn't do anything with this information.
yeah, some kids like Master was it deleted from the Jedi archives? Yoda, probably right. Okay, I'm gonna go back to meditating and doing nothing again. It's like
Mhm.
what? What? You
And
Yoda, investigate, do something.
that's actually Yoda's advice to everyone else. But Anakin, I'm afraid of losing people I love. Yoda, nah,
It's like
don't be.
the solution? Ah, meditate on it. Oh, you mean these negative feelings of fear and anger that you say leads to the dark side? You want me to go just sit on those feelings for a bit? It's
Yeah,
like you want me to just dwell and just meditate in this negativity I'm in, and just clearly these most into the dark side, so just sit in it. What kind of advice is this? If you told your therapist, "Hey, I'm kind of depressed. I'm losing my mind here," well, go sit down and just think about how depressed you are. Like, that's not good advice.
yeah. I mean,
Oh.
this is why I'm so sympathetic to Anakin,
Mhm.
because it's undeniable when he goes fucking full school shooter and kills the younglings, he's just being an evil bastard. But
Mhm.
it's so clear how he got there because
Mhm.
everyone around him failed him. Um, the Jedi Council entirely as a whole failed him through their distrust, their manipulation. So they treat him like shit, and then they ask him to spy on his only friend outside of the Order. That because Palpatine masterfully befriends Anakin and makes him rely on him for emotional
Mhm.
support. And Obi-Wan here fails entirely to see this. He realizes that Palpatine is in fact trying to influence Anakin. He fails to see why, and he then fails to help Anakin through this, to properly make him consider Palpatine's motivations
Mhm.
and to deal with the issues that are making Anakin so goddamn angsty in the first place.
Yeah.
And
If go ahead.
um, and I think Obi-Wan's struggle and failure become really evident in Revenge of the Sith, especially
Mhm.
when he finally accepts that Anakin has gone to the dark side, is irredeemable, and he is ultimately probably the person most responsible for this. And then he asks Yoda to go after Anakin and let him take on the Emperor, which is certain death for Obi-Wan, just because he does not want to face the consequences of his own actions.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I understand is because he loves Anakin, but
Yeah.
I think it just shows the depth of Obi-Wan's incompetence.
Mhm. Agreed. Agreed. No, and they showed us in the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan kind of knew. They kind of knew Anakin Padme were getting on.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, you're aware of what you believe is gonna lead someone to the dark side. And instead of like confronting and actually helping your best friend, your brother, you're my brother, Anakin, your brother, you just, oh no, I'm gonna ignore that because I got more important things. Like I gotta go with some clone armor, I gotta go flirt with Satine, I gotta, do a bunch of other nonsense, like hunt down a bounty hunter instead of dealing with the most powerful guy. Like if you get the chosen one, the guy's gonna bring order to the force, the most powerful Jedi to ever live, highest midichlorian counter, what that means,
Mm.
and he's doing something you believe to take him to the dark side, and you ignore it because you have better things to do. What kind of like how stupid or how arrogant do you have to be to ignore that situation with those beliefs?
There was a deleted scene actually in Revenge of the Sith where Obi-Wan clearly says that he knew that Anakin and Padme were getting it on. He let it happen because he saw that Anakin was happy. Now, I understand that.
Mhm.
That makes sense. But he does nothing to address the potential consequences and how this can be manipulated.
Mhm.
Because people either want Anakin to be an emotionless robot, which he isn't, or they do not deal with the potential consequences of Anakin's emotions while just letting them go on. Both of those just kind of both of those failures just kind of synergize into Anakin. I keep making school shooter jokes. I need some new material. Into Anakin just killing the younglings.
Mhm. I mean, it's a good example of school. I guess school swordsman, but it it really is like again, like Luke Skywalker is absolutely right when it comes to why did I need to end. This
Mm-hmm.
Deserted Council is not worth keeping around. It became entrenched in politics. Like you read the Old Republic stuff, and you're like, okay, they just when things got bad, they just left and went to Tython. You know, like maybe the Jedi Order in this one, if they weren't so arrogant and so blind to their own mistakes, they were like, no, what, guys, we clearly lost our connection to the Force. We can't sense the future. We think the Sith Lord going around. Let's just pull back, step back, readjust, and then go on a meditation retreat, come back, and maybe fix this thing.
Mm.
Instead, they're like, nope, we're just gonna ignore everything and go be soldiers because it's fun to bring a purple sword around. It's
Yeah, actually, I think that's another relevant point as to how everyone in actually Padme is the most guilty of this. Everyone in the prequels tries to preserve and save existing structures because they do not believe in any alternative,
mhm.
and this just leads to the formation of the Empire.
Yeah.
Because the Empire didn't destroy the Republic. It's a natural evolution of the Republic when the Republic
Mhm.
became too unstable because of its own because of its own principles.
Mhm.
The Republic essentially ended itself first by causing secession, then by not accepting that secession, fighting that secession, having a huge civil war, and Palpatine just pulling all the strings in the background with his false flag attacks, his playing both sides,
Mhm.
and then just reaping the benefits.
It's actually isn't he technically elected in episode 3? He wins like he wanted to begin with elected official. When he becomes the emperor and he forms the Galactic Empire, everyone's applauding. The
Yeah,
death of the Republic
actually,
is applause. It's it's the empire is brought directly out of the Republic. You know, it's not like it's taken over or it's a
yeah.
coup. It is the natural evolution of a democratic republic.
the the attempt on my life has left me scarred, etc.
Mm.
Um, by the way, in the name of continued security, stability, and I think he actually mentions liberty, um, the Republic will
Actually,
be
guys,
reorganized into the first galactic empire, and all the senators are just
clap
brilliant.
and seals.
Yeah.
That's one
The
thing
only
I want.
exception to sorry, go
Go
on.
ahead. No, it's one thing I would love to see in the Bad Batch or some other Clone Wars type show. I want to see how the war ended. You know, the Clone Wars ended, but the successor movement never like they never say clear that they were brought back into the fold. So like, what
Mhm.
was there? I want to know. Like the army was defeated, you know, but what actually happened to all the? I mean, I know the Trade Federation people were all murdered by Anakin at the end of episode 3, but there's no way the whole every planetary system after that is pulled back in like nothing happened.
Mhm.
You know, there's got to be some kind of story there. I want them to explore more of. Mm.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So yeah, because it seemed awfully convenient that he had all the separatist leaders move to Mustafar and then Anakin killed them.
Mm.
Which actually, see, I'm actually wondering how they didn't realize something was up. Actually, Palpatine probably specifically selected the separatist leaders for their stupidity
Mm. That
because
makes sense.
he
Yeah.
moves them to Mustafar. Yeah, he says, the war's over. My new apprentice, Darth Vader, is going to come over and take care of you. And they're like, awesome. Wait, why is he sending his apprentice to us? He's space timing us right now. So
What
there's
kind of
nothing that.
you hear take
Why
care?
is
It's
he
like
sending this guy?
you hear take care too. It's like take care of you. It's like I'm sorry, he's not gonna be our maid. He's not gonna come give massages. What kind of taking care of? Is this like what's the next step? Well, clearly the next step is not to be taken care of. Like just the whole phrasing of that was like so obvious. Like, huh, maybe something's up. No, we're going to sit around and wait.
I don't know. Maybe they're under the influence of the dark side or something. Maybe Jar Jar's hidden around the corner, waving his hands.
It's like, ooh, doing a
Mm.
little Zelda magic. Drunken
Oh yeah,
master over there.
like when he yes, Jar Jar's fighting in episode 1 is literal drunken boxing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
If he was a Sith Lord, they had confirmed that, I would not be. I'm like, okay, you know what? I buy it. I'd accept it. It is what it is. That tack it
I
on with
just
the rest of the problems.
I genuinely think that Jar Jar was supposed to be a Sith Lord, but then Lucas chickened out because of the negative reaction and hastily wrote in Dooku, who was actually still a decent villain.
Yeah,
But I
Dooku's
do
great.
think that Jar Jar was initially supposed to be the separatist leader.
Mm. That was something they planned to do. I heard about. They plan to have Padme leave the Republic and join the secession movement. Like that's something they planned to do in Attack of the Clones, and they just again chickened out.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I think the prequels. It's George Lucas. On one hand, he is the problems everything, but also him
Mm-hmm.
not committing on him not committing to his own ideals is also a problem. So it's like
It's the
if he would
same.
pick. Go ahead. What was that?
It's the same thing that did you watch Batman v Superman?
I love it actually. I love the director's
I,
cut.
I liked Batman v Superman, especially the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
But it's the
that's a
same
good
problem
movie.
as the prequels. It's the same problem as the Star Wars prequels. First, we got the worst of Zack Snyder, like his sometimes lacking plot elements, focusing
Hmm.
too much on just cool twirly whirly action, and we got the worst of the studio hamstringing Zack Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being the worst possible product. Still cool though.
Yeah, well, he was absolutely he was shown to be correct with the Snyder Cut coming out.
Oh
Like when
yeah,
you when he gets his control, it's good. It's 4 hours long, but it's a good 4 hours.
yeah.
Like it's. Mm. Now, Did you know the Warner Brothers tried to fuck over Wonder Woman by removing the No Man's Land scene? Like the guy in Swords 1 and 2 removed the sequence that like runs across No Man's Land. The
Mhm.
best part of the movie, he's like, nope, take that out. Like after you make that kind of suggestion, you shouldn't be allowed to do movies ever again.
Mhm.
I mean, not even you shouldn't be allowed to watch movies ever again. I want you booed out every seat for that kind of suggestion. Like how do you? And we're getting off track to DC stuff. If you
Yeah.
ever want to come on and talk Batman v Superman or Snyder Cut and the politics, hit me up because I would love to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Was
I,
this?
I have a lot to say about Batman v Superman and Justice League.
I mean, let's see, it's like 24, 7 hours of awesomeness right there. That is just ripe for conversation. There's so much. If we get going, we're not going to stop. So it's just,
Yes.
back to Star Wars. The Trade Federation and protectionism of the like it really is just straight up protectionism. It's
Oh yeah.
blockades. There's a lot of parallels you can make to the Whig Party and the Civil War in America. You can make a lot of parallels there with succession, protectionism, trade policies, of basically being a dictator to being a political dictator, but not but using the political rules in place to dictate it even more. Like Lincoln was called a constitutional dictator, you know.
Mm.
And that is pretty much what Palpatine did. I mean, he became a dictator through the processes of the Republic.
Yeah, I think that's the most relevant part about the political aspect of it. Palpatine never actually subverted. Well, I mean, he never actually staged a coup or anything. He used the mechanisms of the Republic to become its dictator, to create the empire. That's like I said, he manipulated the whole situation and then just let politics do its thing.
Mhm.
He first of all started the entire Civil War.
Mhm.
He got himself given emergency powers to deal with the separatist threat. He radicalized Anakin. He radicalized the entire Republic, and then declared himself emperor. And people loved it.
This absolutely shows Hans Simon Hopper's point that like when politics attracts like in politics everyone is bad because you're attracting the worst of the worst. Either attracting those who want power or power corrupts. You know, like, there's a debate like what's worse, attracting corrupted men or corrupted men in office. I'd say attracting them is pretty bad, and that's exactly what happened. The Republic came around, and Palpatine was like, "Oh, I'm charismatic. I'm evil. Let me just go hijack this political system." Like it, like it directly. It's not like he was corrupted in office. He was directly attracted to it as an evil man. If there was no political structure in place, and we actually had, let's say, any kind of anarchy or freedom, you wouldn't have any way of this evil man hijacking this political system. You know?
Yeah, it's he was only capable of forming the empire because the Republic was already there.
Mm-hmm.
He just rearranged it into his own image.
Absolutely. And I have people watch this and they come out of it and still defend democracy. Like if there's any lesson to learn from Star Wars, it's maybe this democracy is not so good. And they still come out defending democracy. Like they come out and be like, no, you're absolutely right. Democracy is the most important thing. And it's like, no, democracy just led to everything. If you didn't have a democratic system in place, you wouldn't have the rebellion. The empire. You wouldn't have all these terrible things happen. If they actually just negotiated, had freedom and peaceful coalitions. And I hate when statists watch Star Wars come out with even being more statist. It's like this is the opposite. Like I watch this, I see everything I complain about happening in our current system, we could see explained in politics of Star Wars. And it gets written off and ignored. And it's like, no, this is the lesson. This is the lesson. You try to learn this lesson before it actually happens here. But no, we're just gonna go full on speed ahead. And I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's so many great works of fiction are just slightly clearer mirrors of our own world. I mean, I can definitely never imagine the United States or the United Kingdom being deeply divided along civil lines and demagogues trying to manipulate the situation for their own gain. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Yeah. It's like, this is... In fact, we had people like, Lincoln literally was a constitutional dictator.
And that's the problem with Constitution. It can still be abused. There's no such thing as limited government.
Exactly.
It will always end in dictatorship.
Always. Honestly, I get a lot of slack for this, but I want to create a John Wilkes Booth organization with the slogan "Not soon enough." But sadly, that was only taken by the Aaron Burr Society in New York about Hamilton. Which is just both of these ideas are like, I want to do the second group, but I also want to make the first one because that sounds like we need John Wilkes Booth to take up Palpatine. I guess what we need. We need that guy to throw in the prequels just to fix some things.
But actually, here's where it gets further complicated. The John Wilkes Booth of the Star Wars universe is Mace Windu. He tried to kill Palpatine and install a Jedi dictatorship, a benevolent one, but fucking benevolent, because oh no, an authoritarian demagogue has taken control of the Republic. What should we do? I know, overthrow him and replace him.
Oh, it's...
Jeez, you have learned nothing over the course of the war. Real democracy has never been tried, I guess.
No, I was rewatching the Clone Wars recently, and the fact that there are people like Satine who was like trying to support peace, and everyone was against her, and it's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, even if you don't agree with her, you should want peace. Like, I absolutely don't get these types who are... yesterday on Twitter, everyone's going off about the whole nuclear of Japan kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was so... I was reading these tweets, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. You should want peace. Like, when they say, well, it was a good thing we didn't accept the surrender. I'm like, what? No, even if it only pauses the war for, say, 6 months and they come back again, that's 6 months of no one dying. That's to be what even if it's only 6 months, like, war's always gonna happen. The goal of war is to have as much peace in between the wars. And so if you get 6 months in between the war, that's to be a victory. And it's like nuke civilians.
Yeah, it's exactly that process, that thought process that they try to twist. they say bombing Japan was a good thing because it ensured peace. Right. The peace of millions of children dying. That was cool. Very peaceful of you.
It it what was it? That quote from Hayek. I think it was Hayek. Maybe it wasn't. But if you had full it's easy to have full employment with a draft. If everyone was drafted, you have full employment, and nothing to eat. I think it's safe to be applied. If you kill everybody, you have peace. If there's only one guy left standing, that's peace. It's
No, trust me, if I were the last guy left standing, I'd still find a way to start a war.
It's like those ants are gonna die. They're gonna get it. Gotta find something to direct the angle at. Okay, well, we are getting to the end of this. So,
unfortunately, I feel like there's still so much more to.
We'll have to do a part two. We'll have to do a part two because I'd love to have you on again to do this again. But it is 4:00 in the morning where I'm at. What is it? What time is it for you? What is it? You got like 6:00 or something going on over there?
It's coming up to 9 in the morning, actually.
Wow. UK time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got two more questions. No, 3 more questions. Out of the 3 prequels, which one was the best? Which one's the worst?
Oh, that's easy. The best was definitely Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
because first of all, the story actually finally managed to coalesce into something relatively coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Hayden Christensen wasn't quite so constipated in this one. And the worst was Attack of the Clones.
See, there we go. I was going to say, if you say Phantom Menace, I don't have a problem. Because Phantom Menace, for all its problems, had at least the Darth Maul fight scene in the end. It had some redeeming elements. Attack of the Clones has
nothing.
There's really nothing. Jango Fett is in it, and that's somewhat cool. But that's it. It is. Yeah, it's so bad.
It has the worst dialogue, the worst characterization, the worst haircuts, by the way.
Yep.
I am so. I hate that film so much. I think Mace Windu had a worse haircut in Attack of the Clones than the other films.
What was it? There's that robot chicken sketch from Anakin talking to Padme like about that scene when he's like, "I care deeply for you. I'm haunted by the kiss." And it's like, Anakin, we can't. That's why I dressed like this. As he's just wearing those revealing outfits ever dancing along the wall. And it's like, I'm sorry, you don't kiss a guy, then reject a guy, say we can't do this, and then wear those skimpy outfits around him again. He's like, you're still flirting with him after saying no, we can't flirt. It's like you're clearly just toying with him.
I think it's really just being unsure and torn between her duty and what she wants, which is understandable. I just think that both she and Anakin should have been honest about it from the beginning and tried to, said, screw politics. If we want to be together, we should be, and we should be careful about it.
Yes. I mean, the deleted scenes of Attack of the Clones or the original plan was to have her go to the Separatists. And so her whole toying with Anakin, saying, makes sense if she's going to try to just, go bad. But then they decided, we need to find someone for them to stay together and then have kids. So we got to not do that, I guess. Again, they saw something and they didn't commit to it. Okay, last 2 questions then. Lightsaber color. What's your kind of lightsaber color? Green, blue, purple, red? I can respect that.
I'm 100% driven by rage.
For me, I'd probably go green. Every time I play any Star Wars game, it's green. Jedi Council type and Knights of the Republic, this green lightsaber kind of person. I mean, I even got on the south back there. Got a Luke Skywalker lightsaber up there. Hold on. There we go. There we go. That's great.
That was definitely my number 1 as a kid as well.
I feel agreed with and then insulted like with the kid. It's like, okay. Last question. If you could kill any character in the Star Wars prequels that would try to make the situations better, Like you're John Wilkes Booth, you get to assassinate one character and try to save the Republic or save freedom. Who's that one person who fucked it up the most and they need to get killed?
Oh wow, there's so many potential answers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the obvious one of killing Palpatine, but that doesn't actually solve the problem. Palpatine's not the disease; he's the symptom. You could kill Darth Maul to try to save Qui-Gon, because he'd probably have been a better master for Anakin. But Qui-Gon's philosophy has its own problems, because Qui-Gon is he has a real hard on for just doing what the Force wants. And actually, I think the prequels is just the Force. The whole Jedi versus Sith thing is just the Force balancing itself out. Bringing balance to the Force. Too powerful Jedi, too powerful Sith. That's what happens. So, could kill Anakin, obviously, because he is the main tool, but Anakin is just a tool for Palpatine, and he is initially an innocent. And they actually had this whole debate about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You can't morally trade lives. You can't kill even one innocent to save any number of other people. Could kill Windu just because he's a dick, but
that's probably gonna be my answer. It's
there's so many possibilities.
For me, I honestly I'm gonna go Padme. I think if you remove Anakin's attachment to Padme and his ability to, if he loses the ability to lose so because he is not there, that kind of solves his whole. That's one of the avenues where Palpatine corrupts him is now gone, and that can maybe divert a lot of. As bad as him taking over is, the Jedi taking over also would have been bad, but I think there are better areas of actually like a faster conflict resolution with the Jedi being in swords.
Yeah, that's definitely a good utilitarian answer.
Yeah, I know I'm not very utilitarian. That's the only time I'm utilitarian is in this kind of like hypothetical, laying out a course of events. Who do you move kind of thing? That's the only time I play utilitarian.
Yeah. I understand the utilitarian argument, but yes, killing Padme would probably be the most efficient way to try to prevent further loss of life. But again, I can't trade lives.
Yeah, you can't trade lives. I agree with that. I'm not utilitarian, but
yeah.
And Star Wars definitely taking out Padme.
Yeah, if I had to. In that hypothetical, would probably be taking out Padme. That would be the most useful. Morally, I'd probably take out Palpatine. Again, he's not the disease; he's the symptom. But he is clearly just the most evil character. So karmically pretty good.
I agree. Last question. Have you ever heard Wayne talk about the Attila and the Witch Doctor kind of thing?
No.
Okay, so Johan Book mentioned this, and he says from Wayne that you always have an Attila and the Witch Doctor. You have the strong physical leader, you have the guy who provides the ideology. You have Stalin, you have Marx and Lenin. You have Attila, you have his Witch Doctor. You have the strong leader, and in Star Wars it's kind of reversed. It's kind of the Witch Doctor is Palpatine, the ideology, the political power, the philosophy, and the Attila is Darth Vader, who's not the guy in swords, but he is the. So you have it really kind of a flip side. Normally, like in a normal situation, you have the Attila be the leader, while the Witch Doctor kind of plays the political game.
Yeah, the whole creation of Darth Vader is fascinating because Palpatine. See, he tells Yoda, for example, Darth Vader will become more powerful than either of us, which is interesting because he clearly wants a very strong enforcement arm of the Empire. At the same time, he wants to preserve his own power at whatever cost, because Palpatine doesn't actually care, I don't think, about the rule of two. He only wants to have as much power as he can for as long as he can.
I mean, and rule of two, he created Inquisitors. That's like 6 or something new Sith people.
See, they dance around this. because, for example, there's Asajj Ventress. She's
right.
she's not a Sith. She's an assassin, essentially. The Inquisitors also technically just assassins, but I think it's just Palpatine. In universe, it's Palpatine dancing around. He only uses the whole rule of two thing to manipulate his apprentices. He doesn't actually care because he is a pure psychopath.
Yep.
So, which also plays into in the original trilogy. I think it's explained in other material that Darth Vader's suit is built specifically to be
skin grafts on even. His skin's constantly itchy. Yeah, he is really just trying to fuck with them.
Yeah,
like, really just like needs Anakin to not be independent, to not be mentally stable. Like he really does this. Like Anakin's whole story is just sad as hell. From slavery to abused by the Jedi and just misled and ignored. And then when he finally gets someone who cares about him, that guy just psychologically tortures him and gets him to be a Sith Lord. I mean, he goes from a young kid who's trying to be a Jedi to killing all the Jedi to be everything evil. Like he is, it's such a sad story of this really powerful kid being corrupted by idealistic losers on both sides.
Yeah,
it's
actually, yeah, I don't know. You might who have you got on for the original trilogy?
Sane Hazel. I think he's coming on. I have a list somewhere in my room, but I don't have it up in front of me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Luke. I think Luke is a better version of Anakin because right at the end of Return of the Jedi, the Emperor is trying to get him to kill Vader. So it seems like there's a binary choice: either commit to the Jedi, commit to the Sith. And Luke says, "No, I'm not going to do that. Fuck you guys."
That is one thing I hope is explored in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show they're making. Obi-Wan Kenobi really goes from being this terrible teacher who led to the creation of Darth Vader. I mean, directly, his failure as a teacher led to Darth Vader, the Emperor, and everything. And he goes and he trains Luke, and he gets Luke on the right path. So and he doesn't seem to be, even as a Force ghost. He's not arrogant and terrible. He's actually wise, it seems. So somewhere along the line, he clearly learned from his mistakes and rejected some Jedi teaching. And I hope they kind of explore that because Qui-Gon Jinn was the same way, and they claim they can't say Liam Neeson's going to be a Force ghost in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And if he is, I really hope he's like, here's why Jedi failed. Here's why you need to trust the Force. And I feel like Qui-Gon is in the perfect position to really teach them the failures of the Council. They should explore that in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And I hope they do because that'd be really, really fun.
But the Force, just following the Force is a whole nother issue, though, because I think I honestly don't like Qui-Gon. I think he's kind of, I think he kind of abdicates his own ability to reason and to think for himself in favor of just obeying what he calls the living Force. Because I mean, it's obviously helpful to be attuned to it, but kind of gets him killed.
Yeah, no, I'm conflicted on this because on one hand, I think you're right. Quite one of my favorite characters. I think his not being on the Jedi Council, despite like ignoring their orders and doing whatever he wants. Like that song, the American Pie parody by what's his name? Weird Al. He did that parody of American Pie. No. You gotta check it out. So Weird Al is a parody singer. He did a parody of American Pie about Anakin Skywalker. And it's awesome. And one of the lines is Qui-Gon told Yoda to get sick in his pointy ears. I'm still going to train the boy. Which is why I really like Qui-Gon's character. The rejection of still being in there, but rejection all the control and authority and being independent more or less. But I think you are right. He does deny his own ability to reason when he just kind of follows the Force along. It's like there's a big problem with some Christians. I don't have a tempo yet, but a lot of Christians. They have no epistemology. They have no way of determining truth claims. They simply let the Holy Spirit guide them. And as someone who's Catholic, it's like, no, you need Thomas Aquinas, natural reasoning, and you need to have faith. You gotta have both. And Qui-Gon is too far on one end of that. Is it older than the other end of that? There really should be someone in the middle who does both. But I think Ahsoka in the Clone Wars becoming a great Jedi type really does so. Like he's the only success of the Jedi Council, in my opinion, is Ahsoka. Like she actually learned the lessons that needed to be learned and ignored the ones that didn't need to be learned and became a good person and does good out of it. Like she's the only success rate.
I think actually, I think I'm more with the Sith than the Jedi on this one, because the Jedi are just playing their own political game. Qui-Gon specifically follows the will of the Force, but the Sith use the Force as a tool. They try to master it, which I think is the best option. The Sith are evil. It's undeniable, but they actually think for themselves. It's better to be an arsehole because of your own beliefs than to just accept dogma.
Yeah.
Now, if only the Sith had read Rand.
I actually full agreement on this. But that makes up another question, actually. If you could recommend one book to the Jedi and the Sith to read and adapt into their philosophy, what book would you recommend the Jedi read? What book would you recommend the Sith read?
Oh.
For me, I clearly want the Sith and both. I want them both to read the Fountainhead. I think that's my go-to book for both of them.
See, I'm reading The Fountainhead right now, and I think that would give them a very strong foundation in ideology. But I think to the Jedi, in the prequels especially, I might recommend Atlas Shrugged instead because of its clear explanation of the political side. And I think that then they might actually be able to prevent themselves from going on the course that they did with the Republic. Meanwhile, the Sith might decide not to be assholes to everyone.
Maybe. I mean, you've seen people who read Rand. They're either really nice or really mean. That is the problem with Rand, is they see people read her and they think, "Oh, I'm Howard Rourke. I can be an asshole to people because I'm the best." And it's like, no, you're not Howard Rourke. You're not Ayn Rand. You're a midwit at best. And that would be a downside with some reading Rand. But I think Rand. Honestly, I think everyone should read Rand though. Like, I'm uber Catholic, and I want all my Catholic friends to read Rand. Like, I think everyone should read. I think there's enough there in Rand. Like, Rand says, before you can love someone, before you can say I love you, you have to say the I. You have to love yourself first.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
she's great. Trent Horn, who's a Catholic apologist, brought it up and was like, Jesus says the same thing. Love thy neighbor as yourself. You have to love yourself before you love your neighbor. And so they're both, I think there's a lot there you could really combine with Rand and religion and see what hate it. See what absolutely hate that I like that. But see hate me in Zenworld. I mean, long hair, anarchist, Catholic. See absolutely hate that I read her books.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking collectivism versus, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Now combine that with just pure collectivism, where you're supposed to love everyone else above yourself. That doesn't really mesh, does it?
No.
You cannot properly, you cannot properly love anyone else if you do not love yourself.
Exactly. You have to have some metric for love, and you have to be able to love yourself before you know other people.
The standard has to be human life. If you do not accept human life as your standard by your own reasoning, there's everything just falls apart around that.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. This is the Gold Guy. Where can people find you? They keep hearing some of your base takes and your fantastic Twitter.
For one, Twitter. Shouted myself out in the first one, trying to, again, randomly generated tags. So it's at Gold Guy, all lowercase, 04075912. And follow the people I follow. They're based as well.
You'll see.
And follow Caleb. He's based. Do it.
Thank you. Do it. That would be definitely when I post this. I'm going to go subscribe, and I'm going to put that GIF. That's definitely going to happen. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. This has been the Catholic Libertarian with Gold Guy talking about Star Wars. Everyone, may the Force be with you.